Yesterday, you got to see some of the pictures of when we first were married, and we heard about our one night honeymoon. Well, when we came back to the farm that next day, were moving into a little house, and it was called a shotgun house. Now, a shotgun house, the meaning of it is that you can open the back door, you can walk out the front door onto the front porch and turn around and shoot a shotgun through the house and not hit anything and go through all the rooms. It was about like that. Anyway, as we were getting ready to get married that summer, before we got married in August, Kamari went to summer school at BYU with her little sister Diana. And I stayed there and was working the farm and getting the house ready for us to move into. It hadn't been lived in for a while. And there was one thing that really upset Kamari is that the bathroom was next to the back door. You came out of the kitchen, went by the bathroom and out the back door. Well, the door into the bathroom was a screen door. There wasn't a solid door. And you opened the screen door and you had to step over the toilet to get into this little 2-foot square area, so that when you got in there, the sink is up against the front of you, and the bathtub is to your left and the toilet was to your right, again, less than 2 feet apart, and the hot water tank was behind you. So it was a trial for Kamari, thinking that summer that she was going to move into a house with a strange man and have a screen door on her bathroom. Well, I remodeled it and I took the hot water heater and put it across the hallway and put a new door in to go in where the hot water heater was. So the area in there was 2 feet wide by 3.5 feet long, and put a solid wall next to the toilet. So she didn't have that. She told me years later that she had nightmares all summer long of that screen door and not being able to shut out the view into the bathroom. Kamari has always been a very private person and had a large intimate zone around her. And we'll talk about intimate zones one of these days. But anyway, we moved into the little house, and that's where we lived the first, I think, 3 years of our marriage. And I'm farming. So I have 350 head of mother cows. I've got 600 acres of crop ground, and I'm doing it all. I had no help other than my John Deere tractor and the equipment. But I would go out, I was putting in 2 8-hour days most days, and I would come in at noon in the middle of that, and Kamari would have lunch ready for me. And her mother was a good cook, but her mother had dieted Mr. Berry all of his life. He was diabetic, and she kept them healthy by not having a lot of food. And so when I'd come in for lunch, Kamari would set a plate in front of me, and here'd be this little couple of ounces of meat. That's a little bitty piece of meat, and a little pile of potatoes and some green beans or whatever vegetable we have. And I would eat it, and I would be, when I finished eating, would be almost starving because I was working hard. I was burning a lot of calories, and there weren't a lot of calories on the plate. And so I'd get up after eating and tell her, sweetheart, that tasted wonderful. And I'd go in the kitchen and I'd fry me a pound of meat and a couple of potatoes and whatever vegetable we have, and cover it all with gravy and eat. Well, unbeknownst to me, she really hurt over that because she felt like she needed to be taking care of her husband right. And obviously I wasn't happy because I was fixing my own lunch a lot of times after she had already fixed a nice lunch. Anyway, one day she decided, I'll fix him. And so she cooked up this big piece of meat, and she fried a big pile of fried potatoes and the veggie, and then she soaked it all down with gravy, and I came in for lunch. And I sat down and I ate all of it, and stood up and said, sweetheart, that was wonderful, and went back to the field. And she said then for the next 30 years, that's the way she fed me, so that I'd have enough calories. But we loved the little house. it had cedar trees around it, and it was kind of a nice little house. And it wasn't very big and wasn't very, it was certainly wasn't new. It had sloping floors in it and some of those kind of things. But we lived those first 3 years on less than $250 a month. Now we ate pretty well, but we grew a lot of what we ate. And then as time went on, we wound up moving to the big rock house on the place. But living that way to start, it was a wonderful way to start in an Oklahoma farm. Uh, we had mother cows and we had crop ground. We had gardens and all of the things that go with that. And we'll take a tour of that farm in later years, one of these days. But I loved it, and so did she. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I look forward to showing you fun things tomorrow.